So the idea behind the installation is very simple. So it's to come into the museum, explore its collections, and then make something from the collections. So in this case, it's the collection of the Chester Beatty Library, and I'm building a database out of the artifacts that is stored in this collection, and building a data-driven application on top of it, which is then projection mapped on the wall. I think the interesting part was actually exploring the collections and looking at the images, because I always underestimated the value of the artifacts that are stored in museums, and after this experience I value these kind of things more.
The Chester Beatty Library is one of the coordinators of this EU-funded project under Erasmus+, and the project is called the Creative Museum Project, and it's funded for 3 years, and it's a vocational training in education project. The Creative Museum Project has offered opportunities for both museums and makers to explore new ways in interpreting collections.
So for me, every next project is a kind of experiment and a challenge. This time the challenge was to explore whether I can do something interesting with the collection, and also to test whether my software, the Transcend Raspberry Pi, whether it is fit for this kind of work, because we are using a 20K projector driven by a single Raspberry Pi computer, and it looks amazing. Museums open the doors for makers and explain the constraints, or open up the constraints and present these constraints to the maker, and then the maker would operate in these bigger territory and experiment with the content of the museum and create something new.
I think it's very important for us to have opportunities to meet and talk. I think it's important for us to look at the skill set that we bring to each other. I think it's very important that we all come from equal fields. We co-curate, we co-discuss, and then we come about to what is possible and what is not possible.
So one thing that people could take away, I think that museums are open spaces where one can and should come in.
So I would like maybe students to explore them for this school projects, makers to explore them for their projection mapping, other museum staff to look maybe at objects. I want people to remember that this is a public institution, that we are open and we are eager to meet others.
A way of creating access for both the museum and the maker to look at spaces, to look at collections, to engage with audiences, as well as invite and encourage makers who are in our communities right across the world, and invite them to co-create and reinterpret collections in really interactive and new ways.